Hello, and welcome to the Tech and Soul podcast. I am Tameka Kee.
And I am Lynn D. Johnson.
And today, we're kicking off season 2, I think, is the whole thing. Welcome. First, please follow, subscribe, do all the things. You can subscribe to us on Substack. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that follow button. Make sure that you get as much Tech and Soul content as you need on a regular basis. So today's episode is...
Wait, not just that.
Oh,
We're
sorry.
still looking for sponsors,
Oh, yes,
right?
we are looking for sponsors. You want to partner with us? You want to connect with us and sort of have conversations that no one else is having in the industry that cross genres from tech and media and entertainment to AI and privacy and also Blackness. We're your gals. We are your hosts. So let's dive in. Today's episode is going to be a little free flowing, but we wanted to talk about music, right? Music and the intersection of music and AI. And specifically for me, I wanted to talk about Spotify. A couple of weeks ago, I attended a virtual event, and there was this amazing speaker, and she talked about, it was a conversation around data and privacy and AI, and how at the beginning, maybe a couple of years ago, when Spotify first launched Wrapped, which was, for those of you who don't know, Spotify Wrapped is Spotify basically kind of gives you a DNA of who you were musically for the year, right? Like, who were your top songs? Who were your top artists? What times of day did you listen to music? And then it kind of gives you a little mini profile. And in the beginning, people were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And sharing sharing their Spotify Wraps. But she said something interesting in that she was like, over time, her name's Trisha Wang, and she's a researcher. She said over time, people started feeling like they didn't want their Spotify Wrapped shared because it made them feel like they were basic. It made them feel like they were like, oh my God, I'm not so interesting. I listen to Taylor Swift all the time. I don't want people to know that. And then furthermore, right, it made them realize, wait a minute, Spotify is collecting all of this data. So personally, I didn't feel like a lame or normal person because my music taste is extremely eclectic, and Spotify was like, oh my God, we can't categorize you. So I love that. And perhaps because we're in this industry, I knew they were collecting the data. Like, how else would they track your listening? But I think it's one of those examples of the value exchange that we often talk about, because giving me this kind of profile of the times that I listen to the most music, the artists that I listen to the most, and then being able to kind of serve me details about when they are playing, or give me give me early access to concert tickets or merch, actually seems like a really good value exchange in terms of that data. But go ahead.
It does, Tameka, for sure. And I'm one, I'm like on every tech as soon as it pops, right? And have opened myself up to the AI machine. That's what I'm gonna call it, right? But at the same time, it's like, give me the choice though. Like, I don't remember Spotify explicitly telling me how my data was being used, right? Like, I don't remember the value exchange being communicated in an explicit way. So that's number one. Number two, love all the things you're talking about. Like, I remember the first time I realized how much they were using AI when some of the playlists that would be recommended to me, right? I was like, oh, is this one that one of their editors did? But like, and it would have a name like Country Soul or whatever, you know what I mean? And you would think an editor put it together, but no, it was something that really paid attention to things you listened to and recommended other things for you. And I remember back in the days, like, I was into the recommendations so much
Mhm.
that I plugged in one of those things, like not Zapier, but it's something else like Zapier, that I would use it to also build a Google Doc. So I would have a list of all those recommendations, and I would have oh, it's not Zap, it wasn't Zappy, it was like if this then something.
This and that.
Yes, it was that one.
Yes.
Right, right. Um, which I still kind of use, but we won't talk about that now. But anyway, and even so that I could keep the recommendations,
Mm.
right? 'Cause I think they would recommend something every week, and then you'd have a refresh the next week.
Mhm.
I built an archival, using that plugin, I built an archival recommendation. Now, granted, my Spotify is so bloated because of things like this that I've done over the years. But anyway, back to the privacy aspect. I would like to know how you're using, although you can see I'm like into this tech and into the
Mhm.
music and music discovery and understanding who I am as a
Mhm.
music listener. Um, I still, from a privacy perspective, want, to know explicitly. Like recently it happened to me with LinkedIn.
It happened to a lot of people with LinkedIn, and I thought that was actually where I was going to go. It's interesting how many people kind of, and for those of you who are listening who might not know this, LinkedIn recently kind of opted everyone in to having, to allowing their content to train its AI algorithms. This is also just a continuation of, I mean, LinkedIn has been, I would say probably for the past year-ish, asking people to contribute to these AI articles, right? To being like, hey, you're an expert in content marketing, or you're an expert in this, answer this question. And then it takes maybe 3 or 4 people's answers
And
and
makes an
makes an
article.
article. And, it was interesting in the content marketing community, there's a bunch of people that are like, write, I get paid very well for what I write. I'm not giving you more content for free, LinkedIn, more content for you to monetize. So they've been sort of working AI into the equation for a while, but the backlash, back to what you're talking about. So what sparked it for you? Did you see a post from someone? Did you see it on your own? How did this kind of raise
I
the
don't know if I was on TikTok or IG
wow.
or somewhere like that, but it came to my attention somehow. Something made me, oh, I think, yeah, I read somebody saying LinkedIn is training its AI on your content. And I said, let me go check these settings out. Let me go see what's going on in these settings here. And sure and lo and behold, I was opted in. And, I asked a couple of folks and they said they were opted in as well. And then, so I was like, let me post this because I bet a lot of people do not know, right? But again, that's back to, and I want us to get back to music, but that's even like when you think about what's going to happen with third-party cookies and Google and Apple's ATT and like all these, it's like, consent, like before data was the key, consent is going to be the key, right? Because people are more knowledgeable now than they
Mhm,
were before,
mhm.
right? So I don't want us to veer too much here. We could, you and I
Good.
could for days, but there was some stuff about this music stuff I wanted us to talk about too because of the soul. For instance, Tameka, and we could go back to that other stuff if you want. If you pull up your day list right now,
Right now, I'm so glad that you said that because I was gonna do that. Right now, my day list is soothing, relaxing, dark jazz morning, which is it's interesting when so the day list is a new feature. A day list has probably been around for maybe 6 7 months, right? I don't think it was something, it's newer. And
mhm,
I actually love the idea of this. Again, this is that value exchange. This is Spotify's like, hold on, you've been listening to us for a long time. I actually realize I've had Spotify for like 10 years. It's crazy, right? You've been listening, you've been using this platform for how long? We know that in the mornings you listen to Chill Hop. So here's some chill hop. Here's a version of chill hop. Here's soothing, relaxing, dark jazz morning. The way that they name some of the things is insane. Like I had one the other day that was like, it was like elf grime. And I was like, what is elf
What
grime?
is
How
that?
did you come up with that? Yesterday it was like Swedish jazz. I was like, okay, cool. What about you? What's your day list right now?
I don't even understand why this is my day list right now. Um, because people who have dated me in the past will tell you that I always say I hate R&B. Like I don't really hate R&B,
Hmm?
but I hate R&B. I'll explain that in a minute.
Mhm.
But my public playlist is Quiet Storm Slow R&B Afternoon. And it says, you listen to hip hop and vocalist in the afternoon. Here's
So
some Quiet Storm, slow R&B, intimate, chill R&B,
it's the chill.
smooth R&B, and contemporary. What is the rest here? And contemporary, right? And funny, this is the first time I ever did this. I clicked on that tagline
Uh-huh.
and it took me to another playlist.
Of the specific genre that they're talking about. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually super interesting. And again, so two things. One, I also pay for Spotify.
me too.
So technically we're paid subscribers. So the fact that they are not serving me ads is great, right? Like let's be clear with that. They're not using my listening behavior to create an ad profile, but they are using my listening behavior to give me value. And I want to tell you mine. So yeah, I said soothing, relaxing, dark jazz morning. You listen to lo-fi and focus in the morning. Here's some dark jazz, brown noise, soothing, relaxing, free jazz, energizing, and calming instrumental. And I was like, it's great. But there was one, I actually saw a weird article and it was like, again, what is it? It comes up with these weird names. Um, and I can't find it. I'm gonna actually look for it now. Spotify weird names. Um,
Um, I want to know what is a song or artist that's on that date list for you?
wait, hold on. Where's the weird? It's like it's a there was one, oh my God, I couldn't find it, but it was like gnome music. It was all sorts of weird stuff. But what's on this list now? So let's see. There is there's a song called Chewy by Slow Row and Ron Quixote. There's
Okay.
a song called Tiger Tales of the Concrete Jungle by Targo Bombay. There's a song called Daffy by Donkey Cho. And another slow row. I mean, so the other thing that I love about this, and because we're talking about music discovery, is these playlists help me find other artists that I really like in the genres that I like. And I wanted to go back to your thing though, in terms of the R&B, because perhaps the algorithm is like, for whatever reason, on Friday afternoons, maybe are you riding your bike? Are you going to the train? Are you cleaning
Right.
the house? Right? On Friday afternoons, I, I would love to understand how they figure it out, right? But on Friday afternoons, maybe 3 out of 5 times,
Times. Yeah. Right.
this is where you're headed, right?
Right. So, and it's like, I know I said I hate R&B. It's not like R&B. It's a certain kind of R&B,
Mhm.
right? So, like they did tap into, so I just looked up talking about AI tools that are about to like steal all my data. Perplexity. I just looked up on Perplexity. How does Spotify come up with names for day lists?
Please.
Algorithmic personalization. The titles are created based on a user's listening history. We know that. Identifying common genres, moods, and themes associated with their music. Descriptors. Spotify employs a database of tens of thousands of musical descriptors, which are categorized by genre, mood, and themes. These descriptors are then algorithmically combined to form playlist titles that resonate with the user's listening patterns.
That
Oh,
so
they're eccentric, often mixing genres and moods in unexpected ways. For instance, titles like 90s rave, rainforest, late night,
yes,
right?
rainforest late night. Okay, cool. That's, it's funny though. I think what I go to is the Music Genome Project, right? From
Mm.
Pandora, which was early days of, I suspect, that they similar, right? Like Pandora broke down kind of the elements that make up a song and make up music. And then they would use those elements to kind of create playlists for you. Now, in hindsight, going back, looking back, those playlists weren't always amazing. But like I think the fact that Pandora kind of tried to figure out these elements that make up specific songs in specific genres and then use that to then create additional playlists is it was a perfect thing. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to ask you about though is have you used the Spotify AI DJ?
Yes. So I have used X because yes, Xavier is my, the kid's name. And so it's like we make jokes about DJ X. Um, because we used to call him X when he was a kid. But I at first I did not like it.
Yeah.
At first I felt like, dude, what are you recommending to me? Like, what is going on here? But and they say it's still in beta, right? So it has gotten better over time. Over time, it's definitely gotten better, but I probably don't use it as much as like the kind of playlists they create for you, like um this is your 90s playlist, or this is your like those. I try though, and I realize that I'm teaching it by, if I skip on a song really quickly, if I repeat a song a couple of times,
Save it or remove it.
remove it, right? So I know that I'm teaching it in that way. Um, I do like, because me musically, like you, I'm all over the place. I like that he doesn't stay in one genre,
Genre.
yeah, too long, right? He does kind of like, okay, you were listening to reggae yesterday, so here's a couple of reggae tracks for you, and then, oh, you've been on a Beyonce kick or something like that. I haven't been, but if I were, but that's how he works, which I do thoroughly enjoy, right?
Yeah, because I think that's the thing with any of the algorithmic driven content and music, right? It's or algorithmic driven experiences in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's how do you balance discovery of new things that could be interesting to you versus feeding you the same stuff that kind of that you would already sort of pay attention to or listen to. I think not just of music, but of the stuff that shows up in our feeds, right? From a social media perspective, if the algorithm knows you like these things, it will continue to serve you those things. And so that's how people get into these weird echo chambers. And that's how people get radicalized. And so from a music perspective, like it's interesting because I do listen to a lot of chill hop. Like that's the soundtrack of my life is like it's got a little bit of a beat, it's got some BPM, but it's also very chill, right? And but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to listen to chill hop. Spotify, send me something else, right? And I don't want to stay in this. So it's like that push and pull and that balance between giving me what I enjoy and what I'm going to listen to versus kind of trying to find and explore different things. I do think though that the Daylist for me has been a really great source. This and Discover Weekly as well, because like
Discover Weekly.
have
Mhm.
been great sources of new artists and new music for me. I mean, I think a whole separate conversation is how do these discoveries and these streams translate into benefits for the artists themselves, right? Like in my Wrapped, Spotify is like, you are one of our top listeners, right? Like, because I have it on all day. And so, but I pay for it. So Spotify gets the money, but like, how does that translate into the artists that I
Well, I mean, that was the whole big thing
Mhm.
when Tidal came around, was that Spotify and Apple are robbing you. Tidal will make you a partner. Like that was the whole thing when Tidal first launched.
Right.
You know, when Jay-Z had this big press conference with all these artists.
Remember,
Yeah,
Madonna.
yeah, yeah. You know, I can't say, but I think the ability that now you can do the ticket sales through there, you can do the merch
Oh,
through there.
Entitled
No,
and
at
Spotify.
Spotify,
Yeah,
right, which you
they're
mentioned
trying.
earlier,
They're
right?
trying.
Right, they're building Bandcamp or, for,
And then
right.
what happened to Bandcamp? Epic acquired Bandcamp and then shut it down, right? Which
I
is
think so. So like, and even when you talk about the music discovery part, like you're talking about Pandora, I remember for years, and I still do to a certain extent, used Last FM,
oh
which
wow.
Last FM,
Oh my
which
God.
they were an independent, and then CBS ended up buying them. I don't
Oh,
know who owns them now, but like algorithmically, like the maps, like people talk about Spotify Wrapped, but like when they show me, they don't give me a name for myself, but they really show me like in-depth tracking of types of music I listened to over the year, who's my top artist, and then because that was community driven, it shows me people who are like me, right? Which was the aspect I always liked about Last FM, because Last FM was more community driven. But it also recommended, it had really, the recommendations are on point.
my God. And then you're reminding me of another one. It was one that I think Google acquired and then turned it into Google Play Music and then shut it down. It was like was it like Playlist FM or something? But that
I
was a
think I
great
remember that
one.
one.
That was a
Yeah.
great one because it allowed you to put it. Wow, this is the freaking the what do you call it, the churn of music startups and platforms is definitely a thing. I mean, and that's probably for a whole other
A
episode.
whole other conversation.
Which let's end this on an interesting note. So a DJ in your past life, Lynne T. Johnson. Can we get a Tech and Soul playlist? I feel like maybe we need that for the audience. If you had a song that you would kind of send us out on for today, what would that song be?
Oh my goodness. That's a hard question. So right now I'm looking at, because I pulled up Last FM, and
Mhm.
something Last FM recommended to me is something called Love Song by Ramsey Lewis.
Oh,
And Ramsey Lewis was like one of those 70s type
okay.
jazz funk artists. And love song, yeah, because love. I'm about love today and
We
trying to be about love this year. You know
We
what I
love
mean?
that I am here for that, and that's a perfect way to end the Tech and Soul show, because we're also about soul and love and finding the soul within the machines and the technology. This was a short, sweet, snappy episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Please, as we said, like, follow, subscribe. Reach out to us. Let us know if there are people that you think we should chat with. Let us know if there are topics you think we should cover, and we will see you again pretty soon.
Peace.